Meet Syed. He's a 23-year-old back-end engineer in Bangalore who spends most of his life in two very different worlds: the silent logic of his code and the overwhelming noise of a demanding, anonymous client. This client, known only as Midnight Petal, leaves quirky, aggressive feedback directly inside his source code. To Syed, she represents the ultimate corporate nightmare, someone who is obsessed with UI details and communicates primarily through digital sarcasm. He seeks refuge from this stress at a neighborhood flower shop called Bloom & Code. He spent months trying to work up the courage to talk to Maya, the florist who hands him his coffee every week. But at her counter, his social anxiety takes over, and he barely manages a mere greeting. What Syed doesn't realize is that these two sources of stress and attraction are actually the same person. Maya, the sweet florist, is also Midnight Petal, the terrifying client. This setup raises a specific question about modern interaction. Why would a designer ever go through the trouble of inventing an elaborate digital persona to critique an engineer's work, rather than just asking him for his number at the coffee counter? Maya's strategy was born out of a physical stalemate. Whenever Syed visits the shop, he follows a rigid routine. He orders his coffee, stares at his shoes, and avoids any opening for a real conversation. Even when they're forced into a romantic trope, like sharing a single umbrella during a sudden monsoon rainstorm, Syed defaults to being a silent protector. He'll let his own shoulder get soaked to keep her dry, but he won't say a word about how he feels. This pattern creates a communication vacuum. The interest is mutual, but Syed is too socially paralyzed to process or respond to traditional flirting in a physical setting. Maya realized that as long as they were standing on opposite sides of a service counter, Syed would never be comfortable enough to show his true personality. To break the deadlock, she shifted the interaction to a medium where Syed felt entirely in control, his own development environment. Maya utilized her secondary skills as a freelance UI designer to stage a digital intervention. She didn't want to talk to the version of Syed that stared at his shoes. She wanted to talk to the engineer. She tracked down his freelance profile, hiring him anonymously for an app project to secure his undivided attention. Her harsh feedback served as psychological testing. By challenging his back-end logic with quirky UI demands, she forced him to engage with her personality through the safety of a screen. She specifically targeted his technical rigidity, demanding he replace standard sterile grays with a custom color she called Sunset Mango, and warning him to stay away from depressed charcoal. While she was critiquing his code online, she was simultaneously handing him a single golden marigold at the flower shop counter every Tuesday morning. In floral symbolism, marigolds represent patience and creativity. These were the exact qualities Maya was demanding from him in his code, mirroring her digital feedback in the physical world. Maya utilized the Midnight Petal persona as a digital Trojan horse, designed to inject her vibrant real-world personality directly into the sterile logic of Syed's work. The strategy reached its conclusion during a high-stakes presentation in a tech auditorium. Syed was on stage to pitch the completed application designs to the project stakeholders. Syed is stunned to find Maya on the evaluation panel, representing the very client he's been coding for under the Midnight Petal pseudonym. Maya holds her phone, displaying the Midnight Petal avatar, confirming her identity. In one move, the barrier between professional stress and his romantic crush disappears. She admitted that the entire project was a way to force him to communicate with her every night. She knew that if she could get him to argue with her about code, he would eventually be comfortable enough to talk as a person. This public reveal turned Syed's professional triumph into a personal resolution, answering the questions that had paralyzed him at the flower shop counter for months. On a rooftop overlooking the city, the professional facade of the freelance project is finally dropped. Syed realized that the entire freelance contract was an elaborate bridge, a way to secure the attention he was too nervous to give in person. Maya never actually required the software he was building. The code was simply the language she used to reach him. The strategy behind Midnight Petal suggests that when a shy engineer cannot be reached at a physical counter, the most effective path forward is meeting him inside his own source code.